From the headquarters of the Guild of Champions, this is the Chris Terrell Podcast. I am your host, Chris Terrell. Welcome to another week of your weight loss quest. How did this last week go for you, champion? What new challenges did you encounter? But more importantly, what failure did you go through and what lesson did you get from that failure? Come on now. Don't let a perfectly good failure go by without you getting your lesson. That's your reward for your troubles. Now, if you're new here, I've lost 125 pounds myself after an entire adulthood of chronic yo-yo dieting. Up, down, again. Before I finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I made some permanent, meaningful, and actual changes to my real-life lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and to my systems of belief. Because it's all of those things that created me, and it's all of those things that create you too. And if you want to get some permanent, meaningful changes in your life, you're going to have to do the same thing I did. You're going to have to go all the way to the source. And now I'm here each week to help you get the results in your life of losing the weight and keeping it off. But you're going to have to come back every week to get the lessons, to get the conditioning, to get the new ideas planted in your mind. Because you see, if you want to change, if you want to get results that last, you're going to have to think new thoughts. Because if you keep thinking the same old thoughts, you're going to keep getting the same old results. And if you keep getting the same old results, you're going to keep having the same old feelings, more than likely. But if you change your thoughts, you'll change your actions. And if you change your actions, you'll change your results. And if you change your results, I don't know what'll happen. I guess you'll just have to go and find out. Now, here's one thing I'd like to invite you to do, though, that will maybe get you a different result in your life. And that is to join the objectively best free Facebook group centered around mindset first weight loss out there on the internet. You can find a link to that by heading on over to christerrellcoaching.com, or you can find a link to it in the show notes of the podcast. I'd love to have you come be a part of that group. And if you are thinking of joining the guild, the doors are closed again. They're probably going to be closed until the end of the year, at which point I will open them up again. If you are thinking about joining the guild and you want to make sure to be notified when the guild doors open up, head on over to theguildofchampions.com, where you can put your name on the waiting list, where I will email you to let you know when it is going to happen, and you can come join my amazing weight loss community and my coaching programs as I help you get to the body and life of your dreams. Now, this week in the guild, I'm talking about goals. And I'm going to do the same thing in the podcast this week as I did last week. I would like to talk about some things that I just didn't get to. Stuff that I would love to have kind of woven into the lessons. The stuff that made the cutting room floor, or the stuff that just didn't have a good place. And I thought I could share it with you here on the podcast. Goals are really important. And if you'd have walked up to me at most parts of my life and said, Chris, what's your goal? I could have told you what it was. And if you just said, Chris, do you have it written down? I could have actually said, yeah. And if a person said, okay, great, you have it and you've written it down. Do you look at it often? You see, that's where I didn't look at my goals often, but I didn't think about them, but I had them and I was working towards them. And here's the thing I discovered. When I had goals and I wrote them down and I thought about them often, they eventually came true. They almost never came true in the way I would have preferred it. Sometimes it was better. Sometimes it was worse. But it never happened the way that on the onset I'm like, this is how I prefer it to go. That rarely happened. It, generally speaking, took longer than I thought it would. But sometimes it also went way faster than I thought it would. Usually whatever timetable I had in my life or how long I thought it might take to accomplish a goal, it was never met. It was always longer or shorter. And one day, something happened. I woke up and realized I had achieved most of my long-term goals that I had set. My 10-year goals that I had set many years prior, I had accomplished them. And not only had I accomplished them, I had accomplished them ahead of schedule. It was prior to the 10 years. And these were some lofty goals that I had set for myself. And when I got them, I looked around in my life, and this is like an income goal, lifestyle goal, job title goal, the way I spend my time goal, love goals, relationship goals, friendship goals. Like I'd set all these goals in my wheel of life, and I'm looking around and I'm like, I've gotten them. Now what? It was shocking. It was an empty feeling to find I was unfulfilled on the other side of that. And success without fulfillment is a massive form of failure, I've discovered. I didn't like that feeling. And I started setting new goals. But that really sat with me. And I was like, but why? Like I got all these big goals, and on the other side of it, yeah, I felt nice for the moment, but it was like it was fleeting. And there I was, me again. When I achieved the goal, not anything really changed that day other than the conscious realization I had done something. But all the work had already been done, right? It's like when you can't lose 100 pounds. You can't just wake up tomorrow and be 100 pounds lighter. You have to lose a pound and then do it 100 times, right? And so by the time you get to the end of a 100-pound weight loss journey, you're like, I don't know, novelty of weight loss kind of wore off. Look, to those of you in the beginning, I know that sounds weird. I mean, just weird that the novelty of weight loss can wear off, but it does. And I started thinking that perhaps goals have actually been leading to unhappiness in my life. The goals, I thought I would find peace and joy and satisfaction on the other side of accomplishment of goals, and I kept not finding it over there. I'd have it, and then it would go away. And I didn't understand why that was happening. And I set off on a deep dive in attempts to understand goals, to understand the point, the purpose. What do I use them for? And here's the answer. Why do we set goals? This is the answer I've come up with to the question of why do we set goals? You set goals so that you can grow. That's why. Otherwise, I'm not sure why else I would set a goal. Because my inner peace, my happiness isn't waiting for me on the other side of the goal anymore. Turns out my inner peace, my happiness had always been sitting at my feet. It had always been right there. Turns out my self-love that I so desperately was seeking, turns out it wasn't residing on the other side of a goal. Turns out my self-love and self-acceptance wasn't residing out of somebody else's mouth. Turns out it was just sitting at my feet the whole time. All I needed to do was look down and go, there it is, and pick it up and say, this is mine now. I didn't have to do anything. And I figured that out years ago. I figured it out, and it's like, okay, so I'm not putting self-acceptance. I'm not putting inner peace. I'm not putting joy. I'm not putting happiness. I'm not putting deeper satisfaction in life on the other side of accomplishing a goal anymore. Why am I setting goals? And there for a while, I was striving to live what I called a goalless life. After I'd accomplished my weight loss goal, the last big one, I was like, this is ridiculous because I found the exact same empty feeling on the other side of losing all my weight. I was like, maybe I don't need goals. Maybe they're not that important. And so I set off to lead a goalless life, learning all about that. For the first time in my existence, I consciously chose to have no goals. And I was never happier. I was so completely at joy and at peace. But I discovered something in that goallessness. Goals have an actually really good utility. A good goal will cause me to learn. It will cause me to grow. It will cause me to do something that I otherwise wouldn't do. Because the goal demands a price. And it is in the paying of the price that I experience the growth and expansion. And now I've begun to realize that goals are a phenomenal thing to have, but not because of the achievement I'm going to have on the other side. A goal is a tremendously valuable thing because of what it requires that I do along the way of getting to the goal. The joy is in the journey, not the destination, don't you know? And as I realized that, I started setting a different kind of goal. I'm reminded of a funny scene from a TV series called Stargate Atlantis. If you've ever seen that show, you know the premise of it. I'm not going to explain the whole world or anything, but I love that show. But one of the main characters, and they're going to go off on this multi-year excursion, right? Off planet, right? And so this guy has this book, War and Peace. And the person's like, War and Peace? Commenting on it. He's like, if I'm going to be somewhere for a long time, I might as well take a book that takes a long time to read. And it's like, interesting point, but that totally makes sense, right? And the reason why I'm sharing that with you is I started thinking of that scene as I was setting goals. I was like, well, I plan to be alive for a long time, so why not set a goal that's going to take a long time to achieve? Why set my sights so low? Here I am. I already lost every pound. I am already at 165 pounds. This is the weight I never thought I'd ever see. I thought this is stupid that I could ever even consider weighing this amount of weight. I would never have let myself set that goal. I have lost all the weight, every pound. I never thought that would happen, and here I am there doing it. I'm like, well, I wonder what else in my life do I not think I can do, but actually I can do it. I wonder sometimes if I'm setting goals, if I tend to dream too small. Maybe I should dream bigger. allow myself to dream as big as possibly, or as big as I possibly can. You see, the challenge with society now when it comes to goal setting is we're looking to create what's called a SMART goal. And people like to talk about a SMART goal as if somehow it makes them smart. Here's the problem with a SMART goal. Specific, measurable, actionable, reportable, and a timetable. I don't remember what it is, the analogy or the acronym, because I don't use them. I don't like SMART goals. I'm an incredibly, I have been called a goal-driven person many times in life, and I don't like SMART goals. I've accomplished many things that I'm very proud of that many other people would like to have. And you know what? I did not use SMART goals to get them. In fact, it was when I stopped using SMART goals, I started experiencing more progress. Why? It's the timetable part. A SMART goal requires a specific and measurable plan that you can measure up against a timetable. Turns out a lot of things in life need to happen by unfolding and being revealed to you how long it should take. A specific measurable with a timetable, that means I am setting expectations upon things over which I have very little to no control. So I have to be very careful how I set a goal. And society pushes you to be specific. And of course, I'm like, well, I'm going to be specific. And I'm saying it's going to take 6 months. I suppose I should have a plan that will work for 6 months. And a SMART goal, in my opinion, actually encourages more perfectionism type thinking, which is problematic if you're seeking to lose all the weight and keep it off. You can't be bringing your perfectionistic thinking to your planning because you're going to fail. And when I say fail, I mean you're going to quit and never make it because you are not going to be perfect. The challenge with society is it's always pushing us to know things, to learn things, to gather facts, to gather figures, to gather knowledge. You need to be able to read it, remember it, and then repeat it. That's what you need to do. Did you learn it? No. You see, I have this theory. You haven't, in personal development, personal growth, you haven't learned it if your behavior hasn't changed. If you're still maintaining the old behavior, you haven't learned what you think you've learned. The reason why you haven't changed is because you don't understand it, but you think you do. I have fallen into that all the time. I still catch myself doing it. I still will catch myself thinking I know something when in fact I don't. Let me give an example. I know enough about some coding languages that if I sit down in front of it and a person explains it to me what I'm looking at, I can completely follow what they're saying. I can like, okay, I see how that does that, that does that, that does that. Excellent. And now if a person were to hand me a text document and say, excellent, now you write that code and have it do something different, I wouldn't be able to do it because I didn't learn how to code, right? Many of you, what you do is you sit down and you have someone explain to you the code, the language of the mind, and you're following while someone's explaining it to you. But then if they hand you a blank sheet of paper and say, okay, now you explain how the mind works. Crickets. I don't know. I don't know how to use my mind. I don't know what to do. No one's ever taught me how to use my mind. I'm following because I have a mind. But once you're not here to kind of walk me through the 1, 2, 3, 4 of it, I tend to get a little lost. People don't do what they know how to do. Why? Have you ever thought of that? Have you ever wondered why you don't do something that you know you should do? Or have you ever wondered why you keep doing something that you know is not helping? It's not helping you get your goals. Why do you do that? Here's the challenge with goal setting. A lot of people set a goal and they set it in alignment with who they believe they are, who you believe you are on the inside, or with what you believe you can accomplish. Many people, their version of a stretch goal is still a safe goal. It's not a stretch goal. And the reason why is because society has put so much pressure on us to know how to do something and to know how something is going to work out. And if you're going to set a proper goal that is designed to accomplish the real mission, which is to help you grow, that means when you set the goal, you should not know how to accomplish it. When you are sitting down with your journal and writing down your goals, if you could immediately turn the page and write out a plausible plan for how you would get there, you're not dreaming big enough. You are allowing your self-image to hold back the capabilities of your future self. You are allowing your paradigm to keep you trapped. That is a problem if you are seeking to grow. Because your paradigm is going to tell you not to set a big goal. It's going to tell you to downgrade that goal. You're going to have something inside you say, well, I think I would actually like to get to a place where I would be considered skinny and people would tell me to stop losing weight. But no, then the paradigm comes in and says, no, you can't do that. You've been saying you're a big person for a long time. You've been using the phrase, you're big boned. You're just a husky person. If you get too thin, you'll be skin and bones if you go below 200 pounds. You'll be too skinny if you go below 160 pounds. You can't do that. That's just the paradigm talking. You don't know. It's amazing. Let me give a good example. I have seen people see me or my wife. We are both skinny. We both have been on our weight loss journeys, right? We've made it to dream body territory. And I have had multiple people come to me and seen people go to her when they think they're done. They then see us and go, oh, wow, I could still lose another 40 pounds. There's something about seeing it in your real life that makes you go, maybe I'm selling myself short. But I don't know how I would get there. This seems impossible to be where you are. I can't set a goal that's not obvious how I could get there. I can't set a goal that I don't believe I can get. This is the problem. Society has told us that you have to know how to do something. And you have to be able to recall it and tell it and stick to a plan and be able to say, I said I was going to do 1 through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And here I am on the other side. I am a winner because I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whereas me, I'm like, I'm going to set a goal and I'm going to do 1, 2. What comes after that? No idea. And then when I get to the other side where I accomplish the goal, I'm like, thank goodness I didn't do that, because it turns out to get to my goal, it was 1, 2, A, B, horse, elephant, giraffe. What? I know. It makes no sense why they're connected, but let me tell you a fun tale about how they are. When you set a goal, you then set off on an adventure. A journey, a discovery journey where you discover how to get to the goal. You allow the path to the goal to be revealed to you along the way by action. Action is the key. Many people set a goal and they don't pair it with action. Here's a tip for you. Whenever you set a goal, don't leave that scene without taking some sort of action in a direction towards your goal. That could be something as simple as, I have set a goal that I'm going to begin working out. Great. Right now, you need to take action. Well, Chris, I can't do that. I'm driving down the highway listening to your podcast, and I've made this decision that I'm going to do it. I can't take any action. And this is where your paradigm is showing up and limiting your thinking. You've got to start thinking outside the box here. What is some action you can take? Stop being so pedantic about things. What is some action you could take? Right now, you're driving. You've decided you're going to start working out, and you know that you got to take action, but you can't because you're driving. I can't go to the gym right now. Well, but you could pull out your phone and put in the calendar when you're going to work out. That would be considered action. You could sit there and even take a moment in your mind. If you can't pull out a calendar and say, I'm going to work out tomorrow after work at 5 o'clock. And if I can't go then, I'll go in later after I put the kids to bed. Perfect. You've made a plan. Now you got to go execute the plan, right? You got to go do it, but you have taken action. However, how many of you have felt yourself do this? You have set a goal, you've made a commitment to what your action is going to be, and then you don't do it. Or you do it for a week or two, and then you just stop. Have you ever wondered why you do that? I've wondered why I do that. Have you ever had this situation where you're like, I know I should not do this. I should not come home and demolish the home-style vanilla Bluebell ice cream. I should not do that. And then you come home and you demolish the home-style Bluebell ice cream. Why did I do that? I don't know. Have you ever told yourself, like, I know I need to not emotionally eat after a long, stressful day. You have a long, stressful day. You come home, you emotionally eat. You wake up the next day. Why did I do that? Have you ever wondered that to yourself? You were losing weight. You were on a journey. You were tracking your calories. You were monitoring your intake. You're getting your movement and everything is working. And then something happens in your life. You get a little too stressed and you lose control for the night. 3 days later, you wake up and you have kind of kind of went to town and you're just like, why did I do that? And you don't really have a good answer. You come up with some causes. Oh, it was the trigger food that was in my house. Oh, I got stressed. Those aren't the answer. Why? I wanted to know why I did that. I wanted to know why other people would do that. Why would a person make a decision that they know would take them in the direction of their goal? Why would they then give up and not go forward anymore? Why do people give up on a weight loss journey that is working? I've done that multiple times, and I'm sure you've done it too, where it's working. You're losing weight, you have a strategy, it works, and you just stop. Sometimes, yes, the answer is because you chose a way of losing weight that was just stupid miserable, and you should stop. But I'm not saying you stopped doing something that was stupid miserable and went and did something that was easier to do. That would make sense. That would be called being smart. I'm talking about you. How many of you have done what I did? I have done the dumb thing so many times. Here's a plan. It's too difficult. It's not working. And so I'm going to take that plan, it's too difficult and it is working, but I hate it. I'm going to take that plan and replace it with nothing. I'm just going to do nothing. What kind of sense does that make? And yet, I did it. And I don't think I'm a stupid person. So clearly, in my head, it made sense to do it. Why? Why would I do that? Why would you do that? It's because of how you were taught. It is because of how you were raised. It is because of how you were programmed. It is something called your paradigm. Your paradigm, your self-image of yourself, is getting in between all the things you know and all the things you do. That is why you can learn, here's the perfect way to go lose weight, and then you don't do it. Because that knowledge is filtered through your paradigm before you begin to take action. And, I joined Weight Watchers. I don't remember them teaching me about changing my paradigm. I've talked to people that have been on a GLP-1. I don't remember hearing anybody telling their doctor, talking to them about changing their paradigm. I've seen the Optavia stuff. I don't remember paradigm being anywhere in there. You got to change who you are on the inside so that you can change who you are on the outside. Now, right away, when you say this, I know some of you are probably going to react to it the same way that I reacted when I first started accepting that this might be true. I started going like, this is hippy dippy woo woo shit. Like, this isn't real. All right. Give me some hard facts and science, right? None of this hippy dippy stuff that's like, oh, if you think positive thoughts, everything will be better. No, I'm not talking about naive, just sitting around, peace and love, man, and we're just going to think great thoughts and everything's going to be awesome. That typical stoner vibe. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about just positive thinking. I don't think just positive thinking is going to work because I could be positive I'm going to find a sunrise as I'm running west the whole time, right? I'm never going to find the sunrise as I run west. Why? Because sunrises come up in the east. My positive thinking is not going to help me at all. I can be as positive as I want. Doesn't matter. But you do need these things. But what I'm talking about is your paradigm, which includes all of your logic. It includes all of your habits. It includes all of your beliefs. It includes all of your ideas about the world, about yourself. It contains your ethos. It contains your code of conduct, your standards of what is right and wrong, what you should do, what you should not do. It contains all of that. And that is getting in between the knowledge you've picked up and your actions. And if you want to change the results in your life, you will have to change your paradigm. Not pair of dimes, paradigm. Paradigm. So you go from knowing something, you learn something, you pick it up, and then it gets filtered through your paradigm, and then you take action, and then you get results. So if you want to change the results in your life, you work your way backwards. You might think, oh, if I want new results, I need to change my actions. But you're not going to take new actions with the old paradigm and the old knowledge still intact. So you have to work your way backwards. All right, I'm going to change the paradigm. I don't know how to do that, right? Do you know how to change the paradigm? Could you sit down right now with a piece of paper and write it down? Here is the XYZ step process for changing a paradigm. I'm willing to bet a lot of you could not do that because no one in your life has ever sat you down and explained to you, this is how you change your self-image. This is how you change your paradigm. I'm willing to bet no one has ever sat you down and explained this to you. And if they did, I'm willing to bet it was only once or twice and you didn't learn it. Now, I know there's some of you listening. You're in the guild. I see you. Some of you, you're my clients. I know you've learned this stuff. We've talked about this. Thankfully, we often just need to be reminded more than we need to learn new things. So for you, today's a reminder. But for many of you listening, this is new information and you need to know it. And I don't have time to dig into this. This is something that I take a while to teach to people. You have to learn how to change your paradigm if you want to get new results in your life. Now, I'm going to give you the answer right now. I am going to tell it to you. Understand it may or may not make sense. You may or may not know what to do with it. But the way you change your paradigm is you find the ideas that control the paradigm and you change those ideas. That's how you do it. And changing those ideas is a process. Now, in the guild in December, I'm actually doing a coaching program for guild members where I'm going to teach you how to change the paradigm. I'm going to teach you techniques for that and actually coach you through it and give you assignments and walk you through it. So if you decide you want to join the guild in January, you can take that course. It'll be made available to all guild members. And if you're listening to this out of time, go check the doors. They might be open. You can come in and get that course. Because I want you to lose all the weight and keep it off. And for that to happen, you must do what I did. You must change on the inside. You must change your lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and systems of belief. If you change those things, you'll get a new result in your life. If you don't change those things, you'll get temporary results in your life. You have a permanent problem. Your body weight needs to be managed forever. The healthiness of your body needs to be managed forever. And it is no one's job but yours. It is your responsibility to do it, no one else's. Don't you dare go blaming someone else. It's your job. And if you're going to do this, you have to also remember you have to do this until you die. This is a forever job. And you need to make sure your solutions are forever solutions. Don't bring temporary solutions to a permanent problem. That's why you don't need some diet plan. You're going to get bored of it. What are you going to do then? You didn't need a diet plan to gain weight. You just made choices. You don't need to know the perfect high protein recipe because you're going to get bored of it. You don't need to know the perfect exercise routine because you're going to get bored of it at some point. You're going to need to do something else. You're going to find that everything you do at some point, you're going to throw it out and do something else if for no other reason other than you are bored of it. You'll get bored after years of doing the same thing. And I know some of you are like, that's not true, Chris. Come on. Yes, it is. You know damn well it is. No, Chris, I've been eating the same thing forever. Not for the same reasons. Things are changing. I promise. Things are changing. So if you want to get the new results in your life, go to the source. Your mind. Your internally held self-image. Change it. Study how to do that. Learn how to do that. I've left a lot of breadcrumbs for you in the podcast on how to do it. Some of them aren't very breadcrumby, and they're more like a whole loaf of bread with a neon sign pointing to it saying, this right here will change how you think. Like, I have actually quite a few of those. But there's also breadcrumbs. The last few episodes of the podcast, the last two, I have littered those two with what might be considered throwaway sentences or little offhanded comments that are breadcrumbs, that only those that know will get it. And those that don't will just think I was just making vocal noise. You are on a quest right now to discover who you are, to discover what you can do, to discover who you can become, to discover what you're made of, to discover your own inner greatness and to let it out, to expand, to become more, to live a life that you love living. You're on a quest to do that. And my job is to help make sure you make it to the end of that quest. But I ain't going to do it for you. No one else can. And for you to get there, you need to set a goal, a big goal, a goal that will trigger growth, a goal that will trigger expansion, a goal that scares you to set. It scares you because you know deep down inside you want it. And you know that if you allow yourself to fully believe that you want it, it will actually create pain within you because you don't have it. And many of you are afraid of pain, and you're letting fear rule your life. And so you're letting fear prevent you from dreaming big. Why not tap into your courage? You see, when you're courageous, you feel the fear and act anyway. So in this case, that would mean you'd feel the fear and set the goal anyway. Dream big, and you just might get it.